Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1005. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Podcastro Valleyton and Cafe Anyway here at the last place on earth. Today, the return of the much-loved segment, Do You Know Dat? Where we look at some little-known facts you didn't know. Some recent stuff, too. Plus, we hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The last show, I sure talked a lot about women and their skin like alabaster.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
So, the Golden Globes are happening tonight. I know there's some movie with Sylvester Stallone because he likes to fight. One movie that won't be featured because it came out in 2010 and I watched last night was Beyond the Lighted Stage about the rock band Rush. All right. I grew up blasting their music with my friends as we tried to be cool adolescent boys.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Rush has always had a huge male following because Neal Peart destroys
Mike's
the drums.
Daily
Lifeson
Podcast.
shreds the guitar.
Yeah!
And Getty Lee sings his butt off. Yeah! Wow. I saw a movie that's only 6 years old that came out 6 years ago. What is my frickin' hurry? And what is the deal with me using the word frickin' and frick and freaking and stuff? Yes, we don't cuss on this show, but one program director I had way back when told me you can't say those words on the radio. Even though it's not like you're saying the actual F word, people know what you're trying to say, and so they get offended by it anyway. Now, he told me this, granted, like 20 years ago, and times have changed and people's morals have dropped right through the hole in the ground and towards hell. And hell has taken over Earth, and we're all the last days. And there's a massive stronghold assembling in Oregon of whack job militia people trying to... What is going on? I knew this was going to happen. As soon as you put a Democrat in the White House... Oh, wait a minute. We've had a Democrat in the White House for 7 years. But just like with Clinton, you get a bunch of militia people that rise up. It's like as soon as they see the Democrats take power, they're like, no, we don't want them in government. We hate government. We must overthrow government. Let's start something called the... look who just walked in. Right now. The Tea Party. Mark! Yes, Benita? My name's not the Tea Party. I'm Benita, the rodeo queen. Yeah, and it's a disgruntled fiddle player, tell you what. What? There's absolutely nothing wrong with the Tea Party. Americans think that they want to think and whatnot. No, but it's just interesting when a Republican's in the White House and you say anything bad about the president, then you're considered unpatriotic. That's not true at all. It is. It's so true. I've observed this. No. It's only if a Democrat is in the White House that we have to overthrow the government because he's taking over our lives. Edward Snowden proved that. Interesting point. Well, neither here nor there, or up there or down here, or in that hole in the ground that leads to hell. Neal Peart, an amazing drummer. Lifeson, Getty Lee, the amazing band Rush, and this band Beyond the Lighted Stage. Beyond the Taillights is something else. That's not a movie that I know of, but it was great to see. A lot of people... All right, time for my completely useless review.
Mike's absolutely useless review.
Yeah, you have this great movie talking about Rush. If you're not a Rush fan, then maybe this movie won't be the best thing for you, but it's on Netflix. And I would have to say, a lot of people like the early Rush. Oh, look who else just walked in.
Hello, Mike. I'm the Brewmaster. 2112 is the best album ever. Oh, boy.
Yeah, see, a lot of people say that. 2112 is the best album. Or Moving Pictures. But a lot of people didn't like Moving Pictures Rush because that's when they started using keyboards. Even though they've got great music and you know, their early stuff when they didn't have any keyboards, a lot of people prefer that more. I loved it all. And I loved the 80s keyboarded stuff up. It was great. What the one thing the movie had was a lot of these 90s grunge rockers going, no, the keyboards is when they sucked. The only person that liked the keyboard era was Trent Reznor, who uses a lot of keyboards, of course, with 9 Inch Nails. He thought the 80s keyboard rush was pretty good. I liked it all, like I said, but this is... It's definitely... Some people don't like Rush at all. They don't like Getty Lee's voice. They don't understand. However, when you... That's right. They don't understand. People don't understand things. What a shock. But as soon as you put on Living on the Limelight, people go crazy. They love that song from Rush. And Tom Sawyer, of course. And I wrote down here, there is a lot in the movie made of Alex Lifeson and Getty Lee's relationship. I thought it was fascinating. Getty Lee, the son of Jewish immigrants that escaped the Holocaust survivors. Alex Lifeson, the son of Yugoslavian immigrants, and they immediately had so much in common. They both loved music. They both got guitars at young ages and enjoyed... they started a band together. Neal Peart came along later, and they discovered Neal Peart could write amazing lyrics, which is sort of the basis now of what Rush is all about, is their crazy lyrics. And Neal Peart wrote so many amazing lyrics for them, which then Getty Lee had to figure out how to sing, because Neal Peart uses these big words that aren't typically found in rock songs. But Getty Lee made it happen. So I think it's also very interesting, the Neal Peart-Getty Lee relationship. How Neal Peart writes the songs and Getty Lee figures out a way to sing them. I find that fascinating, that relationship. And how Getty and Neal were completely fine with the whole keyboard phase of the 80s of the band Rush. And Alex Lifeson at that phase was like, wait a minute, where does the guitar fit in here? It's like you don't even want any guitar in here, and he was feeling left out. At any rate, they worked past it all. Now their music is a lot more guitar-centric, more rock-sounding. It's an interesting movie. I yelled a lot the last show, I have to say. I know my show's a lot of observations that I make. And I had a lot on my chest last show. I wanted to say something about the whole defensive driving here in the Bay Area. It's bad. It's bad in the week, the middle of the week, and you're tired of going to work, and you're like burnt out by Thursday or even Wednesday, and then you have to deal with people that drive crazy. It just, I mean, this happens in every major city in the U.S. and all over the world, but it's just why people don't follow. If we don't follow the rules, if government doesn't give us rules to follow, all chaos happens. Wait a minute, what am I trying to say? We must rise up and drive on the left-hand side of the road and become British people, is what I'm saying. Well, I have some interesting British news for us in the segment Do You Know Dat? We'll find out about. Also, last show, I was complaining about how this whole health insurance is messing me up, trying to get this all figured out. And Sarah Koenig, I find attractive from the podcast Serial. She's pretty with her glasses and crazy curly hair. I love that. And I said the word frickin' a lot. And it was great because then I found out somebody at work listened to the show for the very first time. And his words to me were the following: "You're one sick puppy." That was his words.
Mark, that's true. You are a sick puppy. You are as if you were a puppy that was sick and needed to be nursed back to health.
Thank you, Brewmaster. I mean, Disgruntled Fiddle Player.
You got us confused.
Yeah, Mike, we're two completely different guys.
I don't make awful tasting root beer.
And I'm not a crazy backwards redneck.
Oh, okay. Well, then, that straightens it all out. At any rate, the guy I spoke to at work, he said he might be interested in being on the show, which would be fun to have another great person to interview on the show. He's a very interesting guy. He's been in radio for a long time. So we'll see how that goes. But I always enjoy people that listen to the show for the first time. I get a little bit nervous. That's the one time I get nervous, is when I think about someone new listening to this show. Oh my gosh! We're growing. By total not leaps and bounds. By inches and by not moving at all. We're not growing at all.
Into an interview.
Time to interview Benita because she's so beautiful. Benita, what do you think about the Golden Globes? Mike, I liked it that one year when that girl Kate Winslet was on and she won some award and she was wearing something really low and it showed off her bosom. Kate Winslet. Yeah, that's right. That was like all the way back in the Titanic years, wasn't it? I love that movie, made me so sad. Uh-huh. I think it made everyone sad. And I think that's something I don't understand. I understand when people are sad, but I don't understand the negativity part. Some people are negative, and they bring everyone else around them down. They walk into a room, they suck all the oxygen out. I don't understand that. I'm tired of it. When you've got when your main verbal communication, the main words you use are "that sucks," and that's all you say all the time. That sucks. That sucks. That you maybe you need to change your attitude. You're bringing all the rest of us down. We don't want to hang around you. Sorry. The sooner you leave, the better we feel. Just realize that. Change your attitude. Change it around. I don't understand. This guy I know, he's got a lot going for himself, and he's still really negative. Why? Why? Why can't he see the good things? I know I complain about stuff on this show, but it's more like I'm making observations. I'm not putting it down. I'm optimistic. It's not like I'm saying that sucks. I'm like saying that's nuts. That's crazy. Observe that. Isn't that interesting how that is? And then we all can laugh at it together and we're happy and it's uplifting. That made a bunch of sense, didn't it, Benita? No. And I gotta get out of here because you're confusing me. Bye, I'll bye. I'm sucking the room out of the cafe anyway. No, I'm not. I'm not. All right, I'll put the air back in. Give me that pump. There, I pumped some air back into cafe anyway. There we go.
Mike, thank you. That air doesn't smell too good.
No, it doesn't. That air sucks. That air is being sucked right back out again, which is pretty good because it didn't smell very good. All right. So to listen to this show on a myriad of formats, to find out what all those formats are, like Spreaker, Mixcloud, Podomatic, Stitcher, TuneIn, etc., YouTube, all those links can be found at mikesdailypodcast.com. And if you want to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, links to all of those. And we're also on Tumblr and Yelp and Instagram. Links to all those at mikesdailypodcast.com, as well as the podcast picture, all my past interviews. Oh, yeah, and on the interview front, ha 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 ha. Nobody, no musicians, no bands, nothing right now. Everybody, I don't know what, they all hibernate in January. But like I said, my patience level for the flake factor that comes from musicians is at an all-time low. I don't want to deal with it. So till then, we'll bring you some fun segments like this one called Do You Know Dat?
It's Bison Bentley's Do You Know Dat?
Hey, this is Bison Bentley, and Mike Matthews has a couple of stories that'll make you want to ask yourself, do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know that? Yes, the lovely Alanis Morissette. I had such a crush on her and her beautiful cascading brunette hair. Apparently, Alanis is no longer complaining about the good advice that you just didn't take. She's going to dole out some good advice for you in a weekly column. That's right. It's going to be for The Guardian Weekend magazine. She's 41 years old now, and she will be responding to romantic woes and that sort of thing. It's going to start January 16th, next weekend. And she's actually taking the reins from Molly Ringwald. So she will have some good advice. She has had some interesting relationships in her past, right? With the Dave Coulier, and wasn't she married to Ryan Reynolds for a while? And then he basically left her for Scarlett Johansson. And I think they were married a while, and now Scarlett Johansson is with some French journalist, I believe, if I'm following all that correctly. Molly Ringwald was doing why haven't I been reading that advice column by Molly Ringwald? She's another lady. Lovely lady from the 80s. Although Alanis was more from the 90s, the early 90s. But yeah, I often find that I like to get advice or just to read the interesting columns that women write, including in, I believe it is the San Francisco Weekly, which is a throwaway paper, as they say. You can find on every street corner and it's free. There's the Love Goddess? No, there's like a porn star that writes for the paper. She's very interesting, what she has to say, and she gets questions from her readers, like, what should I do in this relationship? And just her style of writing is so humorous. And yeah, she's pretty, well, she can be a bit on the obscene side. But, and especially when she describes some of the life of a porn star, as you can tell, that would probably be a bit on the explicit side. So, Alanis Morissette, it'll be interesting to see. And I wonder if we can take any of the, advice that she gives or what she writes in her column, if we can maybe derive some lyrics from that, future lyrics. Maybe the 90s can happen all over again, the Lilith Fair phase, where we had all these cool musicians, female musicians, like Jewel and Sarah McLachlan. We could have a big... Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? By the way, Alanis Morissette has moved on. What's it say? Oh, she's married to rapper Mario Treadway, whom she had a child with in 2010. Yes, that is Doctor Who, and yes, the latest news on the Doctor Who front, for all you people that love British television, BBC stuff, is that there's going to be a spin-off of Doctor Who called Class, and it's going to start airing this year on BBC America. The 8-part series is from young adult author Patrick Ness, who is known for writing the Monster Calls books. The series is executive produced by Stephen Moffat, who currently does Doctor Who, and Brian Minchin, and is a co-production between BBC America and BBC Cymru, Wales. And it's filmed in Cardiff. They do a lot of I remember they filmed Torchwood, which was a spin-off of Doctor Who there, and a lot of the Doctor Who episodes have been filmed in Cardiff. Which my friend Colin, who I spoke to, and you heard a bit of me speaking to Colin from 2009 from my first podcast, The Messy Desk. Colin went to visit Cardiff recently for the first time. We'll have to speak to him, maybe get him on an interview and into an interview on Mike's Daily Podcast, since I can't get any musicians on. And Colin is interesting. I'm astounded and thrilled to be entering the Doctor Who universe, says Patrick Ness, the young adult author. He said, which is as vast as time and space itself. I can't wait for people to meet the heroes of Class, to meet the all-new villains and aliens, to remember that the horrors of the darkest corners of existence are just about on par with having to pass your exams. Now, if you are a follower of Doctor Who, you know that the past 2 seasons have featured Clara, the Doctor's companion, who in this past season left the Doctor for good. She didn't die. Well, she did die. She was taken out of her timeline. She doesn't have a pulse now. And she's been traveling with the girl from the Game of Thrones, who is immortal. And basically, she's immortal now, and they're flying together in a TARDIS that has taken the shape of a restaurant, a la some Douglas Adams book. So the show will be about Jenna Coleman's character Clara's old class that she used to have that had some adventures with the Doctor in the previous season. Oh, speaking of Douglas Adams and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, there's mention of that coming up right now. Oh, by the way, Class was already set to air on BBC Three in the UK. If you are a fan of Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you probably also like Doctor Who. Douglas Adams, in fact, wrote some of the Doctor Who episodes with Tom Baker. Douglas Adams sadly passed away about 20 years ago, but his novel series, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, which was another wacky sort of science fiction show, that was turned into a TV show that was on the BBC. I don't know if it was on the BBC, but it definitely was a British series. They did only 3 episodes, and you can watch those on YouTube, which I have. They were pretty good, but now it's being redone. An announcement has just been made. This happened at the some big television, the Television Critics Association meeting, something in Pasadena. It was announced that the BBC is going to has given a series order to Max Landis's adaptation of Douglas Adams' Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Max Landis has done a bunch of writing, has written some movies, some screenplays, some TV shows. So this will be interesting to see it rebooted. And also in other Doctor Who news, the man that once played the Master for a couple episodes back in the David Tennant days, John Sim, he is going to be on a TV show